Hey everyone, I'm Makampa Transmission, a music explorer and record collector based in Tokyo, Japan. In this video, I'm going to participate in the great initiative that Brian from Tokyo Record Style kicked off a few months ago. It's a vinyl tag related in some way to Japan through 20 different categories, and participants have to choose a record for each of them. I apologize if I'm late to the party, but I only started this channel recently, so without further ado, let's start with the first category, which is called Obi One, which refers to a record with a Japanese obi strip on the side. As you all know, obi strips are typically used in the Japanese market to show the translated artist name, record title, and additional information about the record in general. And my choice for this category is the following: Billy Harper, Sorambushi BH, released in 1978. Billy Harper recorded some of his albums in the US during the 70s, but released them exclusively on Japanese labels. And this particular record was recorded in New York but released on Danon Jazz. And Billy Harper is one of my favorite jazz artists. He primarily plays tenor saxophone and has an incredible melodic sense, I would say, making him an outstanding composer as well. So, an interesting aspect of this record is that the title is Sorambushi, which you can see over here. And it's the name of a traditional Japanese dance, but Harper rearranged it and occupies the entire B-side in the record over here. But, however, on the hobby over here, which has a different shape compared to the usual straight strip, but the title of the record, the translated title of the record in katakana, is actually Loverhood, as you can also see over here. Which is the second track of the A side. Sometimes labels change the original record titles on the obis to better appeal to the Japanese market. So in this case, even if the name of the record is actually a Japanese dance title, they change it to Loverhood, and I would have to say it's a choice that I really agree with, because the decision to highlight this track is a good decision in my opinion, because it's one of my favorite tracks from Billy Harper. It's just a solo saxophone track, and he plays in this track in a very rhythmic but also deeply emotional way, I would say, and it's definitely highly recommended. This is one of my favorite records by him, and Loverwood definitely one of my favorite tracks. Sometimes his records are quite difficult to find, but if you manage to come across them, I encourage you to listen to everything you can find from him, because in my opinion it's truly one of a kind. So yeah, this is Obi Strip, first category, Billy Harper, Sorambushi BH, or Loverwood in the Japanese title. The second category is simply a Japanese band or artist. My selection here is this record over here, Maher Shalal Ashbaz, Je et un auteur, released in 2019. Despite its Arabic name, this band is actually the musical project of Tori Kudo, who started this folk ensemble in the 80s and continues to this day. So as you can see, it's a double 10-inch record, and this is just a special band for me. It's outsider music at its best. Maher Shalal Ashbaz is basically a chamber folk ensemble with a lineup that changes often, except for Tori Kudo and his wife Reiko. They play some sort of short pop songs, even short melodic snippets in a very amateurish way, but often even using toy instruments. So their music is actually very unpolished, but still always displays a remarkable melodic sense. And sometimes it can actually sound, I would say, like a children orchestra, which maybe might not appeal to everyone, but if you are able to have an haha moment with them, you likely love the rest of their discography as well. This particular album was recorded in Belgium, and it has contribution by local musicians from local folk bands. And it's not my favorite of theirs, it's still quite good, but not my favorite, but it's the only one I have on vinyl at the moment. So yeah, this is a Japanese band artist, a special band for me. Mahershala Ashbaz. I recommend you listening to the rest of the discography as well. Moving to the next category, Sunrise Soundtrack, a record for watching the sunrise. My selection is this African record, the self-titled by Jerry Musa Diawara, released originally in 1983. So Jerry Musa Diawara is a kora player. Kora is this instrument depicted here, stringed instrument, popular in West Africa. And the music belongs to the Mande tradition. Mande is an ethnic group from Mali, Guinea, and those parts of West Africa. Diawara is from Guinea, if I'm not mistaken. And what can I say about this record? Like, the way he plays the kora, combined with the harmonization of his voice and the backing vocals, is just out of this world, in my opinion. There are just 4 tracks, quite long, as you can see. 2 per side, and yeah, this record is just a very bright record. Doesn't make you think of the harsh, scorching sun of midday summer, in my opinion, but rather the gentle, low sun of early morning, so I think it's perfect for this category. Very calm music, but at the same time transcendental. Jelly Musa Diawara from Guinea. Perfect music from sunrise. Moving forward, the next category is called City Sounds, a record that captures a city vibe. My selection here was an easy one. DJ Rashad, Double Cup, released in 2013 on Hyperdub. So this is a double LP, and I would say there's nothing more urban than this. So starting from the aerial picture of Chicago on the cover, represent the city where the genre of this record, that is called footwork, originated. Footwork is an urban genre. Electronic music, of course, characterized by heavy sub-bass, fast tempos, 160 BPM usually, and polyrhythmic drum patterns. So it emerged in Chicago's poor urban areas, especially South Side, and has always been closely tied to dance crews and their high-energy battles dancing this footwork style. So DJ Rashad didn't actually create the genre, but is without a doubt the most famous name. And this album is actually one of the most iconic in the whole scene, also because it's been released on such an important label like Hyperdub. What to say about it? It's a phenomenal collection of tracks, showcasing DJ Rashad at the top of his game, and collaborating also with many talented producers from the scene. Unfortunately, DJ Rashad died in 2014, shortly after this record was released, and unfortunately took us away the possibility of listening to where his innovative style was going to take footwork. So yeah, this category was City Sound, DJ Rashad, Double Cup, footwork music at its best. The next category is called Zen Listening, where I had to select a record that quiets my mind, basically perfect for meditation. My choice here is a bit atypical, because I could have gone with many ambient or drone record, but I decided to go with this one. Oval 94 Discount. Originally released in 1995 on the legendary German label Mille Plateau, but this one is a double vinyl reissue on Thrill Jockey from some years later. The second record is just a remix of one of the tracks from the first one, and yeah, I would say it's not the main part of the record. The important one, of course, is the first one. And Oval is a trio of German electronic producers, and this record here is a glitchy ambient masterpiece. I'm not afraid of saying that. You actually have to pay attention to the minute details of the record to get into it, which is why I think it relates well to meditation. So it's not just a relaxing record, but you have to make an effort to follow it. The sounds go from the right channel to the left channel and vice versa, which is why I recommend listening to it on headphones, especially. And it's full of great melodic snippets that get buried under the glitchy sounds, usually, and never fully develop. So a good example of this is the last track, Shopping Store, with its melody buried underneath the glitchy noises, and it always leaves you with this perception of not fully developing the full song. So yeah, this was Oval 94 Discount, Zen Listening. Moving to the next category, we have Go 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 Godzilla, a record that destroyed your expectation and perceptions. So in my music journey, I have many records that open new worlds for me and introduced me to genre that I would never expected to listen to, but this one is arguably the most important of them all. It's this compilation called Thai Pop Spectacular 1960s-1980s, released by the great label Sublime Frequencies. Now, I am an explorer writing music from all over the world, but this over here is the record that originated it all and opened my mind about music from outside the usual countries like the US, the UK, Europe, etc. So this is a compilation of popular music from Thailand from the 60s to the 80s, like the title says. And I think the music here was even mainstream at the time, but don't expect anything like mainstream Western music. This is basically psychedelic pop with infectious melodies and very peculiar vocals. When I listened to it for the first time, my mind was blown. I had never listened to anything like this, and this kickstarted my research into music from places off the beaten path, leading eventually to my love for African music and other places of the world. It's a bit difficult to find it on vinyl right now, but if you get a chance to listen to it, do it without any doubt. So yeah, Go Go Godzilla, Thai Pop Spectacular on Sublime Frequencies. Absolutely recommended. The next one is a record that should be ahead of its time, and I've always loved bands that were innovative to the point of creating new genres from scratch. My selection here is Discharge, Hear Nothing, See Nothing, Say Nothing, originally released in 1982. This that you can see here is a Japanese reissue from the following year, I think. So this is most probably the most extreme record at the time of the release. And I don't think anything sounded like this at the time. People usually think that metal music has always been the most extreme type of rock, but I strongly disagree, and I actually think that metal has always been tame compared to punk when you compare records from the same years. So this one in particular took early hardcore punk and mixed it with anarcho-punk, and took also some metallic influences from speed thrash metal and made something completely new. In fact, this record basically gave the name to an entire genre called the D-beat, named after the drum pattern that Discharge drummer was actually using. This is just a milestone in extreme music, a genre-defining record that still sounds extreme 40 years after the release, which is something very difficult, of course, to accomplish. And since this is the Japan vinyl tag, this record also has a connection to Japan, because when Japanese punks listened to this record, they went completely crazy and started hundreds of bands trying to copy this sound and make it even more extreme. And they eventually created another genre called Japanese hardcore, which is heavily influenced by this record. So yeah, this is a record ahead of its time. Discharge, Hear Nothing, Say Nothing, See Nothing. Moving on, the next category is called Take a Walkman, and it's a tribute to the Sony Walkman. My choice here is Heavy Black Art by Death's Dynamic Shroud, released in 2017 by Orange Milk Record. I chose this record because even if I now have it on vinyl, originally I only had it on cassette. And it has a special meaning for me because I was listening to the cassette while I was walking on the streets of Tokyo during my first trip to Japan. This is mainly a vaporwave record, I would say. where all the pop songs are edited, reverberated, slowed down, so the results actually fits perfectly with the retro aesthetic of Walkmans. Nothing much more to say. There are some great tracks. Life Should Be Easy, for example. So yeah, this is Take a Walkman category. That's Dynamic Shroud, Heavy Black Art. I think it's also quite expensive right now, this record. I don't know exactly why, but yeah, when I bought it was definitely normal price. The next category is called Bullet Train, a record perfect for a train ride. My selection here is Wonderful Rainbow by Lightning Bolt, a record that is definitely fast as a bullet train. Originally released in 2003 on Load Records, it's their second record and their best in my opinion. When Lightning Bolt came out of the Providence noise rock scene, they were seen as something really groundbreaking and people were definitely electrified by. Just a duo formed of distorted bass and drums, the intensity they were playing at was something unmatched and unheard of. The bass is always heavily distorted and constantly spitting out riffs, while the drums go at 300 kilometers an hour. This is a relentless record full of hits, and it's a special record for everything that represented in the noise rock scene at the early 2000s in the American Northeast. And without a doubt, the best live band I've ever had the pleasure to attend a show of. The artwork and all the drawings here, I think they're made by the drummer, Brian Chippendale, in this particular style that was quite popular at the time. Yeah, category Bullet Train, Lightning Bolt, Wonderful Rainbow. The next category is called Lost in Translation, a record that takes you to other worlds. My choice is When Stars Glide Through Solid by Twin Sister Moon, the solo project of Mehdi Amesian from Natural Snow Buildings. So Natural Snow Buildings is a duo and it's the main project and a more famous one, I would say. More on the psychedelic drone side compared to this one, which is more of a psychedelic folk record. So yeah, look at beautiful artwork, illustrations. It's a double LP, and the way that Twin Sister Moon is able to build words just with a basically reverberated guitar that is sometimes delayed, sometimes finger picked, but basically this entire word that he creates just with guitar and effects has always spoken to me. His ethereal voice is used more as an accompanying instrument than in the traditional sense, and the mix of droney, sound, carpet, and the atmosphere, everything on this record makes me immediately jump to an alternate middle age or fantasy world that humanity actually never lived in. So yeah, absolutely recommended. Maybe not as famous as Natural Snow Buildings, the main project, but yeah, I love this record. Twin Sister Moon, When Stars Glide Through Solid, released in 2007. The next category is called Live at the Budokan, where I should select a live record. My choice here is pretty obvious because this is not only my favorite live record, but arguably one of my favorite records of all time. I'm talking of this record here, Trials and Errors by Magnolia Electric Co., the project of the great Jason Molina. So to talk about Jason Molina and his Magnolia Electric Co. project, I would need more than a full video, but I'll try to talk briefly about this record. This was recorded live in Brussels in 2003, and I like to describe it as the best Neil Young record that Neil Young never wrote. Compared to other records by Molina, this is more, I would say, alt country, folk Americana, and he and the supporting band were definitely at the top of their game on this live set. The rendition of the songs that appear also on other records is the best ever on this one. Like, you can just listen to Cross the Road or Leave the City as an example. And then there is the song that probably is my absolute favorite among all of Molina's productions, and I'm talking of North Star, which is a song where the tormented Molina basically gets out of his body, observes himself from a distance and describes his own self-destructive behavior that will eventually lead to his death in 2013. A tragic story for a tragic soul, but also the type of soul that often in art can write masterpieces by putting their suffering out for the rest of the world to see and listen to. Jason Molina is Magnolia Electric Co. This is Trials and Errors, live at the Budokan. Next up, the category is called Vinyl Bar DJ, a record that would fit in a vinyl bar. So vinyl bars are a very peculiar type of places that are quite popular in Japan, and my choice is Hey Boy by Doji Morita, released in 1977. So my view of a record that is perfect for a vinyl bar is that it should be nocturnal, smoky, acoustic, and possibly melancholic. If you know this record, you will understand that my choice was pretty obvious then. Doji Morita was a Japanese folk singer-songwriter who could be considered, I would say, an outcast. Quite a reclusive person, apparently, from her biography. She was always wearing this sort of curly-haired wigs and sunglasses to conceal her appearance. And yeah, the artwork is just great, and it continues on the Obi as well. The music presented here is basically chamber folk with atmospheric arrangements, fantastic finger-picked guitar melodies, emotional vocals, and fantastic cinematic last track, which is called Letter for a Friend, I think. Yeah, in my opinion, this would be perfect for those sort of sad, soul-wrenching black and white movies from the director of Bellatar. I don't know if you are familiar with his production, but yeah, I think it would fit perfectly that particular song. So yeah, this is a record for a vinyl bar. Doji Morita, Hey Boy. Next one is called Island Nation, a record with an island vibe. My selection is this dub record by three legends of the genre, King Tubby, Prince Jammy, and Scientist. The record is called First, Second, and Third Generation of Dub, where King Tubby is the first, Prince Jammy second, and Scientist is the third. So yeah, I mean, this of course from Jamaica, and the spacey dubs of this record will immediately take you to another world. This has to be listened on a big sound system so the subwoofer can tear down the walls with the power of the bass. Just a fantastic dub record, very overlooked. I don't know why. It's never mentioned among the top of the genre. Maybe it's a bit difficult to find on vinyl, but yeah, fantastic one. Great melodies, great bass, fantastic dubs. Of course, the three legends involved. First, second, and third generation of dub. Island Nation. The next one is called Monsoon Season, a record for a rainy day. The one I selected here is Songs About Living by Carissa Swear, released in 2002. And oh boy, this is arguably one of the saddest records ever. Lyrics about separation, end of friendships, end of relationships, death, suicide, definitely not for the faint of heart. Carissas will play a sort of chamber folk, slowcore, and they have this sort of like intertwined guitars, and the vocals are mixed below the sound of the instruments. So yeah, everything about this, the lyrics, make this a perfect record to be played in front of a fireplace while looking at the window, where outside there is a winter rain pouring out. Not exactly for summer rain, in my view, more like for winter rain, when it's cold outside, warm inside. Just a record about life, pain, catharsis, everything in between. Be careful when you listen to this if you already have some sort of depression or lingering sadness can literally be heavy. Songs about leaving carries us weird. Monsoon season. We're now at category number 15, which is Wabi Sabi, meaning a record that represents the beauty of imperfection with this Japanese term. My selection here is this live record by the band called Indian Summer from Oakland, California. So this is one of the cult emo band from the 90s. It's just music full of emotions played by kids just out of high school, basically. They only recorded a bunch of songs, I think fewer than 10 in total, something like that. And in the perfect emo fashion of those years, they were going on a van, playing them live during summer, and then call it a day. The songs didn't actually have a title, and so the fans started making up names for them. Their most famous one is probably the one called Angry Son or Woolworm, depends on what record it's on, but basically the song starts with a mysterious gospel sample, then the guitar enters with one of the most emotional riffs of the 90s, and basically this riff already represents everything that emo, DIY, hardcore was at the time. Then, to conclude the song, the climax where the singer starts screaming, and probably the pinnacle of emo music in my opinion. It's a badly recorded live show, badly mixed. The band had no particular technical skills, but they just had a big heart, and their music is pure, raw emotions. So yeah, emo music at its best, Wabi Sabi, Indian Summer, Hidden Arithmetic. So the following category is called Origami Me, a record with an intricate packaging. The one I chose doesn't have a particular intricate packaging, but basically inside the plastic cover of this record there is a bag of Chinese tea. So this record was released by the Norwegian producer TCF. The title of the record I'm not going to pronounce because it's a bunch of letters and numbers. So it's a progressive electronic / ambient record that can be played both at 33 RPM and 45 RPM. Pretty good ambient, pretty good progressive electronic. Listen to it if you get the chance. This was released in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. The tea is original from that time. I don't know if I'm ever going to try it. I don't think so. So yeah, this was Origami Me, TCF. So next up is Fusion Frenzy, an album that fuses genres. And what better fusion of genres is there than a record entirely made of samples of other records? This is Since I Left You by The Avalanches, released in 2000. I've always been a big fan of sampling, as it was the tool used in many electronic music masterpieces from house to jungle, and this record takes sampling to the next level, in a similar way to what DJ Shadow did some years earlier with his Introducing, but with a completely different style. So DJ Shadow was definitely more atmospheric hip-hop, I would say, but this is essentially a dance disco record. Super danceable and very, I would say, organic, like the samples fit perfectly and they create very nice melodies and background, like just a work of genius and imagination in my opinion. It's perfectly shown in the manipulation of the first track when the vocals are sampled from a song from 1968. The original song was saying in the chorus, "Since I met you," but the way the Avalanches edited the sample in such a way that the listener can hear "Since I left you," like the title of the record. A really fun listen. This is the Avalanches, "Since I Left You," for the category Fusion Frenzy. Moving to the next category, this is called Tokyo Nights, a nightlife record. My choice is this single by the British drum and bass jungle trio Intense, which has West Side Blues on the A side and Eastern Promise on the B side. So yeah, this is not an album, it's just a single, but this is essentially a great atmospheric and jazzy drum and bass production. Just a polished masterpiece in my opinion that for me personally immediately makes me think of driving on the elevated highway through the tall buildings of Tokyo. So yeah, just wait for the saxophone melody supported by the heavy bass and you will understand what I mean. Intense in general, great act. They made a lot of fantastic jungle songs and atmospheric drum and bass. West Side Blues, Eastern Promise. Personally, the pinnacle of atmospheric drum and bass. So the next category is called Otsukaresama, End of Day. So a record to be played at the end of a busy day. My selection is Evolution by Gresham Moncur III. Originally released on Blue Note in 1964. This is just a reissue from 2013, something like that. So yeah, this is simply one of the darkest jazz records I have. An absolutely stacked lineup. Gresham Moncur on trombone, Lee Morgan trumpet, Jackie McLean on alto sax, Tony Williams on drums, Bobby Crenshaw on bass, and Bobby Archerson on vibraphone. It's an out there record, I would say, but not necessarily a difficult listen. It's very suspenseful music, somber at times as well. Just listen to the first track, Air Raid, which is something never heard before in my opinion and unique to this day. Yeah, some other adjectives that would fit perfectly for this record, I would say foggy, drony, atmospheric, definitely nocturnal. Perfect for nighttime listening at the end of a tiring day. Otsukaresama category. Evolution by Gresham Moncur III. Fantastic jazz masterpiece. And to conclude this video, the last category is called The Last Samurai, a record to be remembered by and to be played at my own memorial. My choice here was very difficult as many records would fit the category, but in the end I chose this masterpiece by the Canadian band Godspeed You Black Emperor, which is called Slow Riot for New Zero Canada EP. I chose this one because to me this is their perfect record, even if it's not a full LP. Simply an EP made of 2 songs. A perfect blend of epic and atmospheric music, but at the same time not too long. So it's basically a moving output in basically a condensed form, I would say. Just 2 tracks, 1 per side. On the A side there is Moya, on the B side BBF the third. Less than 30 minutes in total. And yeah, the second track always sends chills down my spine every time during the climax. Like, yeah, just something difficult to explain, but yeah, just fantastic in my opinion. There is also a small connection to Japan, as the band name, Godspeed You Black Emperor, actually comes from a Japanese documentary on the Japanese bike gang, Black Emperor. What else to say about this record? A really moving listen. I don't care much about my funeral, if I have to be honest, but if anyone would be even slightly touched by the music presented here, then I would consider myself satisfied. Godspeed You Black Emperor, Slow Riot for New Zero Canada EP. And with this record, we reached the end of this video. I hope it didn't end up being super long, and I hope you found some new records to listen to. So yeah, I definitely want to thank Brian for having this vinyl tag idea. I had a lot of fun thinking about what to choose for each category. And thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you again in my next video.